1892, Homestead, Pennsylvania, a factory town on the Monongahela River where steel soot met simmering anger. This is the story of how a union, a fortress, and 300 hired guns collided in a bloody standoff. At the heart, Andrew Carnegie, the self-made Scottish titan, public supporter of workers, private worshipper of profit. With J.P. Morgan paying $480 million for Carnegie Steel in 1901, this would make Carnegie officially the world's wealthiest man. But public praise masked private betrayal. Enter Henry Clay Frick, Carnegie's ruthless lieutenant. With the Amalgamated Association of Iron and Steel Workers controlling Homestead's noisy mill, Frick saw red and profit margins. June 25th, Frick announces looming wage cuts. Union balks. June 29th, the plant locks out 3,800 workers, only 725 union members, yet striking becomes 3,000 strong. Frick expected surrender. He got defiance. Cue Fort Frick, 12-foot fences, barbed wire, rifle slits, watchtowers, even water cannons. This was no negotiation, it was siege. Frick called in the Pinkertons, 300 armed detectives, paid $5 a day, equipped with Winchester rifles. On July 5th at 10:30 p.m., they boarded 2 barges under cloak of darkness. The plan: sneak the barges up the Monongahela River in the dead of night. Try to get the Pinkertons to secure the mill and make it safe enough to sneak scab workers into the mill. Unbeknownst to them, Homestead was watching. Telegrams warning strikers reached town by 2:30 a.m. By dawn, thousands, including women and children, were on shoreline, guns ready. No one knows who fired first, but chaos exploded. Pinkertons disembarked under heavy fire, pinned behind their barges. The Union had the high ground and the heart. Strikers lashed out, oil-soaked barrels floated to ignite barges. A flaming railcar roared into the river. Dynamite cracked, muskets, cannons, Homestead became a battleground. By the late afternoon, after 12 hours of fighting, roughly 10 strikers and 4 Pinkertons lost their lives. Dozens of others wounded and injured. The barges, bloodied and broken, still smoldered. When the Pinkertons surrendered, they thought mercy would follow. Instead, street justice. Brutal beatings, umbrellas used as weapons, clothing torn off. One detective lost an eye. The crowd wasn't forgiving. Governor Patterson sent 8,500 troops to bring peace to Homestead by July 12th. Within 90 minutes, the mill was back under company control. The town, under martial law. It seems bayonet rule had arrived. Carnegie resumed operations with lower wages, longer shifts, and 500 workers fired. Skilled laborers returned with a 60% wage cut. The union was broken. On July 23rd, extremist Alexander Bergman, who was not affiliated with the union at all, attempted to assassinate Henry Frick. The attempt failed, but the incident seemed to flip public opinion into thinking that the union was involved when it was really not. Union membership was decimated, going from over 24,000 members in 1892 to just 8,000 in 1895. Steelworkers endured a 26-year union freeze. Carnegie profits soared, $106 million in the next 9 years. Union suffering bankrolled him. Fort Frick was erected to break a union, not build peace. The Homestead strike crushed organized labor in steel for generations, but its echo still resonates in glass ceilings and boardrooms today. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, giant business trusts laid the groundwork for modern monopolies, be it steel, oil, or railroads. They squeezed costs, crushed rivals, and reshaped America. Imagine owning every step of production, like Andrew Carnegie did with steel. Buy all the mills, control distribution, cut costs. Sounds efficient until competition disappears. Enter John D. Rockefeller. In 1870, he founded Standard Oil with partners like Harkness, Flagler, Andrews, and his own brother William. Even then, trusts were about swallowing rivals before rivals swallowed you. Standard Oil gobbled up weaker companies. If buyouts weren't possible, they'd offer security or else have trusts hold the assets in name only, skirting charter rules. Rockefeller infamously declared competition was a sin. His methods spurred muckrakers like Ida Tarbell to expose Standard's practices, and expose them they did. Americans grew uneasy. Trusts had infiltrated industries from steel to sugar. Muckrakers laid bare corporate power. Congress couldn't ignore the roar any longer. Named after Senator Sherman, Congress passed the Sherman Antitrust Act on July 2, 1890, banning contracts combinations in restraint of trade. But vague definitions meant attorneys had room to maneuver. In 1892, the American Refinery Company acquired refineries in Philadelphia, gaining a 98% control of the sugar market. The federal government sued under the Sherman Act, but the case went all the way to the Supreme Court. In 1895, the Supreme Court rules that the Sherman Act targets interstate trade, not local manufacturing. The refining of sugar was not considered commerce. The trust is protected by the court and is allowed to continue its dominance. Chief Justice Fuller stated, "Commerce succeeds manufacturing, therefore, limiting federal power." Justice Harlan dissented, warning, "Trusts and monopolies choke interstate commerce." Federal power returned with Teddy Roosevelt in the early 1900s. The Northern Securities case and Standard Oil breakup in 1911 showed regulation could finally hit these giants. Sherman alone wasn't enough. Later laws clarified antitrust definitions, reined in abuses, and redefined federal versus state power, creating modern competition law. From Standard Oil to Silicon Valley, today's giants echo history. Understanding these early trusts helps us grasp modern debates and why rules matter. Fuller warned that federal reach can't swallow states' police powers. That's up to the states, not Congress. Dissenting, Justice Harlan argued manufacturing does affect interstate trade and that Congress can act. But he was the lone voice. Knight neutered the Sherman Act. Federal antitrust cases dried up. It took Swift in 1905 and beyond to expand the law to manufacturing with interstate effects. The ruling limited Congress's power for decades, setting back efforts to regulate national monopolies manufacturing essential goods. J.P. Morgan wasn't in the current war to lose. He smelled the power, literally, and knew electricity would change everything in America. Edison was a patent machine, over 1,000 to his name. He championed direct current, DC, declaring electric light would replace kerosene. But DC couldn't travel far. Enter Tesla, brilliant, but broke. He saw Edison's DC flaws and pushed alternating current, AC, voltage reversal every fraction, perfect for long-distance, cheaper grid. Tesla pitched AC to Edison, but Edison scoffed. AC was dangerous. Tesla left, and the Great Current War ignited. Tesla found a champion in George Westinghouse, sold his AC patents for royalties, and began installing generators beyond DC's reach. Edison fought dirty, electrocuted animals publicly to scare people. He even fueled the electric chair trials to doom AC. On August 6, 1890, William Kemmler became the first person executed by electricity. The execution was botched, twice. Onlookers fainted. Newspapers called it sickening. And instead of killing AC, Edison killed his own reputation. Tesla and Westinghouse, undeterred, went on to light up the 1893 World's Fair in Chicago. AC power lit up the night, dazzling over 2 million visitors. Game over, right? Not quite. Morgan saw which way the current was flowing and switched sides. Investing quietly in AC projects, he still wanted control. And control meant eliminating Westinghouse. Using lawsuits, financial pressure, and his Wall Street empire, Morgan choked Westinghouse's company. When Westinghouse pleaded to renegotiate Tesla's royalties, Tesla tore up his contract, sacrificing his fortune to save AC. The final victory? Niagara Falls. Tesla's alternating current would power the northeastern U.S. It was official. AC had won the current wars. And what happened to Morgan? He merged Edison's and other companies into General Electric. Still a titan today. Morgan didn't invent electricity. He didn't even understand it. But he owned it. And in America, sometimes that's all that matters. Not from the beginning, but for almost its entirety, the corporation has been trying to covertly influence the law to bend to its will. Whether from Supreme Court cases to corporate giants eradicating their competition and squashing employee equality within the workplace. The corporation no longer is the well-organized and controlled tool for the American people's well-being, but rather a manipulative and conniving entity that will usurp the law at all costs. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Please keep an eye out for the next episode of Corporations and Revolving Doors of Power, which will begin the summary of Chapter 3, the Supreme Court. If you would like to get your own copy of Corporations and Revolving Doors of Power, please visit Amazon Books, Barnes & Noble's online bookstore, or visit clevelandkelly.com. That's KELLY.com. Thanks for your time.